The Queens of Spice podcast is created for adult audiences only. Our show contains cursing, vulgar content, dark humor, descriptions of sexual acts and desires, and is not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Some episodes also contain themes which may be triggering for listeners. Please take care of yourself. Welcome to the Queens of Spice podcast. I'm Rachel Ruggy Rugachu, a Pokemon Master, here with my two BFFs, Ash and Jack. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, Jacqueline.
Thanks for coming, Ashton.
So today we're talking about Gravity by Tal Bauer.
Tap Bauer.
Oh my god, autocorrect. Autocorrect kills me.
Tal Bachman.
She's so high. No. Okay.
Gosh, okay. So we are here. There's no major trigger warnings, I would say, on this. There, like, it is an MM romance, but like it's not super homophobic.
It's the sweetest thing ever.
It's like this. This is a sweet
Rachel
book.
didn't like it.
Listen, you can't say that at the top of the podcast. That's rude.
I can't say that. What?
You can't say it at the top of the podcast.
Oh. Rachel had feelings about it because it gave her feelings.
Yeah, I don't like feeling stuff. It's kind of whatever. So I made you guys color sheets. Are you excited?
Yes.
We're gonna start. I'm gonna start designing color sheets for all the books we read, so that one, you guys can color stuff while we're talking, and two, so we can like put it all together and then make a coloring book sometime.
To be fair, she made them for Jacqueline, and I demanded I have my own copies.
That's true. Ashton wants to color half naked
Boys kissing.
boys kissing who are wearing hockey gear,
Yeah.
and there's a rainbow behind them.
I love that our little like crown logo at the bottom. I just noticed that.
Yeah, I put our little logo on and everything. It's kind of nice.
Our boob crown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a booby crown.
Boob crown.
Yeah, I designed it that way to have boobs.
Booby crown.
Booby crown.
Boob crown.
I also designed bookmarks, which is pretty rad.
So fun.
They're pretty fun. I like
They
them.
have tassels.
They have tassels. Because I'm extra. I need to put tassels on things.
Oh, yeah.
It also matches Ash's hair right now. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It also sort of goes with like the theme because like nipple tassels.
Good call. I appreciate that. I didn't make that connection personally.
That's not where my head went with it. I was just
Leave it to me.
Yeah, leave it to Jack to overthink things.
well, most bookmarks have tassels of some capacity.
I mean, that's
Jack
what I was
like,
thinking.
Nipples.
As a graphic designer, I go for paradigms, and the paradigm for
So when
bookmarks.
you are at like chapters and you're looking at bookmarks at chapters and there's tassels on them, do you immediately think nipples?
Yes.
Okay.
So you just walk into chapters thinking about nipples, 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 nipples?
Nipples, 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 nipples.
Checks out. Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you for clarifying. So we're talking about Gravity.
They have no nipples in this.
What?
And the guys, they have no nipples.
I mean, their nipples are pressed together. Anyways, here's the thing.
Nipples are pressed together.
You're talking about the coloring sheet.
Yes.
So I left the coloring sheet intentionally vague because Jack requested specifically that they're like kids coloring sheets. So like they're not super detailed.
That's fair. Anyway, so this book is really great.
Okay, so Gravity by Tal Bauer. Published in August 2022, so fairly recently. Hockey is Bryce's life. From rural Quebec to the NHL, he's now the #1 player in the league, team captain for the Montreal Étoiles, and shattering world records every night. His promise to his team this year is to win the Stanley Cup. Hunter is a middle-of-the-road, nothing special hockey player. Good enough to be drafted into the NHL, but never good enough to make to the Hall of Fame. He never thought that an All-Star weekend in Vegas would land him playing beside his childhood hero, Bryce Michael. After spending hours together on and off the ice, and then an invite to dinner, suddenly Bryce's lips are on Hunter's, and their world is turning upside down.
Woo!
So cute.
So welcome to Gravity. This is a MM romance, which I mentioned, also a bi/gay awakening, and secret relationship.
I know.
Whoa.
They're so cute. They're
Because
so fucking cute.
okay, where do you start with this one?
Sportsball.
Sportsball. I'm gonna offend some people because hockey.
I know. Yeah. Full disclosure. I only have recently become a hockey expert, and it is solely through reading hockey romance. That's where we're at with this.
This book is, I mentioned the Montreal Étoiles. This book is a romance story to the Montreal Canadiens too, I think.
When I was reading it, I was like, is Bryce Sidney Crosby? And And I don't know if that's because I'm like
You're Nova Scotian.
Nova Scotian, and I'm like, Sidney Crosby is Sidney Crosby, or like because he's described as being like incredibly attractive and incredibly like top of his game, and that's kind of what Sid the Kid's MO is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
I
Tal
could be wrong.
Bauer's from Texas, the author.
And Sidney Crosby's from Nova Scotia.
I mean, worlds collide.
I'm telling you, upside down.
Who knows? Who knows?
Does it say how old these players are?
Yeah. So Bryce is 26, I believe, and Hunter's 22 or 21.
Hunter's younger.
He has, I think he's 22.
Yeah.
And he grew up watching him play?
Well, like when he was in high school, like because I want to say
The look on Jacqueline's face is like, this is gross.
I was imagining it to be like Wayne Gretzky in his like
50s?
retirement years
Oh,
and like
no.
a new like
No.
Sidney Crosby
I don't-
guy.
this is not an age gap romance.
No. I think like Bryce is at oldest like 30. He's not that old. Or he's late 20s.
Maybe he's like 28. He might be 28.
He's late 20s.
There's some, yeah, they're like something like 6 or 7 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, realistically, like when he started playing, he would have been 20.
It wasn't enough to make Rachel like lose her shit about it.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I didn't put it in the note. It didn't make the note, so it
Yeah.
couldn't have been that upsetting.
Rachel doesn't like age gap.
I'm learning things about myself, and one of them is that I do not like age gap romance. But here's the thing. I don't like age gap romance where it's like, oh my gosh, you're like so mature for 20. Or you're so grown up for 20. And it's like, stop. No.
What? Because wait, is the 20 the old person or the
No.
No, because that's a whole other world of issues.
That is illegal.
I don't like reading about statutory rape.
Anyway, we're not talking about Cretans just yet. So,
It's not statutory rape.
so close though. It's so close.
Is MM just like male or is it like
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Good job, Jack.
Yeah, because you'd also have like MMM for it's a romance.
Or MFM. And the placement of the letters is kind of indicative of the level of. So it's like if it's MFM, it's like the female is like in between the two males, but the males aren't with each other. But if it's MMF, it's the males are doing things together as well as with the female. So the placement of the letters makes a difference.
So yeah, because like one has certified sword crossing and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Certified sword crossing, not just like
Yeah. Trademark.
notary.
stamped and approved?
Stamped and approved. There's a notary involved and everything.
Where do we even start?
Well, when I first read it, I was like, oh, like Bryce is like super depressed. Like, why is Bryce depressed? And then
There's a lot of this is our first like male author book officially.
yeah, and I will say like he does a really good job with the feels.
Yeah, I almost didn't like this book so much because it made me feel too many things.
And this is my fourth book I've read. This like I've read 5 books by Tal Bauer, and this was the 5th book that I read, I think, or 4th book, sorry, that I read. The first book that I read was the one, You and Me, and it was just like, oh, the feels are real. So that made me want to read more, and
Because most of his books are gay romance, right?
I think all of them are.
Okay. Yeah, he's a LGBT romance thriller author.
Thriller.
Yeah, one of the books I read was like the president, and then the head of the president's secret service.
Ooh,
Yep, it was delightful.
interesting.
I was
So,
like, Mr. President on his knees.
Mr.
Uncle
President.
Joe. Ew.
Uncle Joe.
Oh, from the
Joe
president.
Biden.
Joe Biden.
Oh, ew. No, it was a young president. Ew.
How young are we talking?
Like late 40s, early 50s. Like he wasn't
Really young.
old.
Yeah. I mean, Obama was like 50, right?
Yeah, like he was like one of the youngest presidents or something. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a while back. Either way, that was a bi awakening too. That was
I feel like a lot of his books are like that's like somebody coming to terms with the fact that they're gay or bi.
His wife must be so proud.
Husband?
his husband.
It was a joke. I was
Oh.
like, probably he's gay if he's writing those books. Maybe.
That's I mean that's kind of a stereotype, I guess, to a point. Like I don't know. There's a lot of the way Jacqueline's looking at me. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. All I know is that he makes you feel things, and
Big on the feels.
I'm big on the feels.
So you're right. Bryce is having this like kind of problem, and he calls himself out on it because he's like, why did I have to try to come to terms with who I am in the middle of the freaking hockey season?
Yeah.
Because he's going through this, like, he knows and he pictures himself and his future with a man. And so he's coming to terms with that throughout the entire book. And then in the middle of that, he meets Hunter.
And they have such great chemistry. I loved it when he like skated up to Hunter, and Hunter's like, what the fuck
He's
is
like
happening?
panicking.
Yeah.
So like Bryce is like Hunter's idol.
Yes, Bunny.
Yeah, his nickname's Bunny.
Bryce's nickname's Bunny.
And
Who calls him Bunny?
his teammates. So in this team, the Etoile, they are assigned a nickname. You do not get to pick your nickname.
Well,
Yeah.
no, you never do.
You don't pick your own nickname.
So within like the first day or two of you being on the team, they give you a nickname.
And he was nicknamed Bunny because as soon as the buzzer rang, he was always like bouncing up and like eager to do stuff. So like, oh, he's bouncing around like a bunny.
He like jumps straight to his feet.
Yeah, like a bunny. So like his whole team calls him Bunny.
It's very cute.
It's fucking adorable.
And what's the other guy's nickname?
So we're going to get to that later because that's a plot point.
Yes,
So
I love it.
they end up in Vegas. So Hunter originally is on the
Kitty Hawks.
the Carolina Kitty Hawks in North
What's
Carolina.
a kitty hawk? Is that an actual bird?
You were asking the wrong person. Jack, what do you
I
think?
have no idea,
Okay.
but I'm going to say probably.
Why would
because
Jacqueline know if it was a that? Oh, I guess never mind.
There's a lot of weird bird names.
That you know,
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but
I was not aware Jacqueline was a bird expert.
Here's the thing. I think Jacqueline is secretly an expert about a lot of really weird things.
This is true. High five, Jacqueline. Me too.
Yeah, you guys have the weirdest memories for stuff.
Random information.
And so it would not surprise me if one of you knew about Kitty Hawks. I don't. So that was some noises.
Yep. That was the noise that a kitty hawk would make.
Okay, so Hunter was playing with the Carolina Kitty Hawks, and Bryce was playing in Montreal. And they both get picked to play at the All-Star weekend in Vegas.
Yes.
And so
Bryce rushes up to him and he's
They-
like, I've
and
always
they're
wanted
in-
to meet you.
they're in the same division, I think, because there's like West and East. I don't know hockey.
oh, like the conferences?
Yes,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Sports-
It's like
Okay.
sports ball. So isn't it like all of the East teams play the East teams and all the West teams play the West teams and then they come together in the I don't know. Sorry guys.
Listen, I don't know anything
I
about
really
hockey.
don't think there are a lot of men listening to our podcast that are like, yeah, they're brutalizing hockey right now. Because if
There
you're
are tons of women, though, who watch hockey. Are you kidding?
I know that. But
Okay.
they're not going to care because
Fair.
I mean, maybe I'm sorry if you do care.
I'm sorry if you are identify as a female and watch hockey and care about hockey, because we don't.
And are offended by the fact that we know nothing.
Yeah. Just want to put that out there.
Because kitty hawks are a thing, apparently.
Yeah, the Kitty Hawks.
Well, that's not a real hockey team. I can tell you that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair.
I know
Because the
that.
Etoile are not a real hockey team, but they're basically the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
I feel in my heart of hearts.
Are they Montreal Canadiens? Because the whole thing about how they like hadn't won the Stanley Cup, whatever, I was
in like 20 years, I'm like, this has got to be the Montreal Canadiens, right?
or is it the Leafs? Because like there's tons of people who are Leafs fans, aren't they? And the Leafs don't do well ever.
I don't know.
And Maple Leafs are tree stars if you've ever seen The Land Before Time. No?
You raise a valid point. I love that movie.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So they end up in Vegas together, and Bryce actually goes up.
Fly, Petrie, fly! Fuck.
Why does all of our generation have trauma?
Because Littlefoot's mother fucking died the first of that movie, and I am broken human.
Yeah, and like all Disney movies ever, some parent or another dies. Like, why are the millennials destroyed? Disney.
Says
Disney.
the two people with living parents. Jesus, guys, come on.
Just because
Both of our parents are divorced, though.
yeah, look, just because they're living doesn't mean they're great. I mean, I love my parents, but I'm just saying, not everybody has that claim. My parents are great. I'm not saying they're not.
It's okay, Cheryl. We still love you.
Mom,
Sometimes.
if you're listening to this, stop. Because you're dead, and what the hell?
Oh my fuck.
Vegas.
Vegas.
So Bryce goes up to Hunter
Yes.
because they're playing on the same team, or they're in the same. There's like little groups of 3 people that play like
Yeah, yeah.
scrimmage style, and then
They're-
they like they go through a round robin or whatever, and then the top
He ends up
team,
on the same team.
He ends up on the same team as
Essentially,
Hunter.
yeah.
So it's Bryce and Hunter and this other guy whose name is eluding me right now, and the two of them like mesh
Skate like
so
magic.
well. Like, yeah, I believe magic
Magic
is the word they use.
Magic skating.
Magic skating,
But
and
also Bryce says to Hunter like how much he's like been watching him, and Hunter's like again losing his shit because he's like, oh my god, this guy is like my idol, and he's Hunter's
he's like speechless.
yeah, and Hunter's all confused because like the Carolina Kitty Hawks aren't really a great team, but and Hunter's like, and Bryce is like,
Bryce watches every single one of his games.
yeah, and Bryce is like, well, no, the team might not be great, but that's because you're not supporting. You are a fantastic player. I love watching you skate, and so
And he never gives up is his
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And so yeah, Bryce Bunny all like
He's like
ooh.
obsessed with him.
Yeah,
He
they
loves him.
skate together and they're all amazing and they're all cute and then they hang out and shit and it's like, oh, so adorable.
So when they're in Vegas, they play together, like I said, and they like kick so much ass.
All of the ass.
All of
like,
the ass.
Ass kicking beyond.
And then they like hang out because Bryce like wants to be friends with Hunter, and I love this kind of like nice little friendship they're trying to develop. I love when people like
It's
go hard at friendships.
wholesome.
It's super wholesome.
It's so fucking wholesome.
and they go for drinks, like go to the Mexican place and like eat, and
They go, like,
they go kayaking.
kayaking.
And it's really cute. And
That's
they just
when
they
they
do a
go
bunch of like fun stuff.
They go kayaking and then they come back and they're like, oh, we're sad because we're coming to an end. And then Bryce is like, why don't you come back to my room for some drinks? Adorably. And Hunter's like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. Because, like, who wouldn't be like, oh, hey, my idol just invited me back to their hotel room for drinks. I'm not going to go.
Because both of them, admittedly, like Hunter is younger, but he's not like he's into the bar scene to a point, but he's not like super into the bar scene. Like a lot of the younger guys are always going to the bar and getting drunk and staying out until like 4 a.m.
They drive. Like, they're kind of like at the same place in life. Just to a
Kind
point.
of.
Like,
I mean,
like,
they're just like they both like the outdoors. They like going to do stuff.
they're friends.
Yeah, they're like totally good friends. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Adorbs.
And so when they go back to Bryce, they go to Bryce's hotel room and like, which is fancy because obviously they put Bryce up in a fancy hotel room.
Yeah, because Bryce is fancy.
And they had a couple drinks and fucking Bryce just like
Gets on his lap.
he just crawls on Hunter's laps and kisses him.
What?
He does.
Yeah.
Because he's feeling all this chemistry and he's like, I want to kiss him so bad.
And then he does.
And then he does.
And
then
Hunter kisses him back and then
he
pushes him
does.
away.
But then Hunter's like, you're not gay. What is going on right now?
I shouldn't say Hunter pushes him away. Hunter kisses him back, but then he stops the kiss. Like, he doesn't push him away like, no, this is horrible. He's just very confused.
And that's exactly how Bauer writes it. Is
Yeah.
that like
So is Hunter gay?
No.
Like openly?
No.
Neither of them are.
Neither of them are.
neither of them are openly gay. Bryce, like he kind of figured himself out that
He's been having feelings.
he's been having feelings towards men.
Okay.
But this is the first time he's ever kissed a man.
Yeah, and Hunter admittedly was like, I don't really chase any tail. Like I have, but it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
And so a big part of the story is both of them coming to terms with their feelings for each other and towards men in general,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Okay.
It's
so
really cute.
So after that, there's like a kind of a little meltdown situation.
Bryce doesn't skate very well, and he starts not doing well.
So they both go back to their respective teams.
Yeah.
Bryce is like in the dumps.
He also ghosts Hunter.
He does.
Like, Hunter tries to get a hold of him, and Bryce is like, I'm sorry, I didn't. Because, like, he's worried that he's going to get outed, and if it's going to be a
I don't
huge
even know
thing.
if that's the thing though, because especially since I just reread this, I was very much trying to pick up on that, and I did not get a big vibe that he was that concerned about getting outed.
He was probably just embarrassed. Like,
Yeah,
that
I think that's what it
friggin'
was.
sucked.
Well, if I can remember correctly, there was a point where he was, like, surprised that it hadn't come out yet. Like,
Yeah.
he was just surprised that nobody knew about it.
Nobody figured it out.
He was basically waiting for somebody to be like, oh, hey, you're gay. Or maybe bi. I don't know. But he's just, and then you feel so bad for him because he's like you said, down in the dumps. He's not skating well, and his team's all like
He
concerned
is,
about him.
and I quote, a mopey man mope.
Trademark Ashton.
Trademark Ashton.
Very sad. Very
So
sad
they
boy.
both go back to their teams. Bryce is doing so shitty that the team like loses so many games in a row, and they had
Yeah.
been doing very well. So they lose something like 3 games or 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue,
there's Hunter.
there's Hunter. He literally got traded mid-season for several players off the Atelier in order to bring him to their team
because
everybody saw how well they worked together.
Yeah, the coach was like, well, the last time Bryce skated well was when he was in Vegas with Hunter, so let's bring Hunter over to the Étoile. And Bryce is like, fuck my life.
So they play
style.
Yeah, obviously. So they play one game and they win.
Yeah.
That night he shows up. And then they go on the road. There's like a weird tension because Bryce doesn't really want anything to do with him per se because he's fighting himself in this internal struggle.
He wants to get over it.
He does.
Not over it. He wants to get through it and like move past it. And then
But he himself is still playing like shit.
Yes. And then all of his like see, and this is another thing I loved about this book is like the team is so like tight knit and cute together, and it's just like they all love each other, and
it's a big family. Is what it is. And they're like a big supportive family.
They love Bunny.
Yeah.
They love their Bunny.
Yeah, the teammates they call out, especially there's Slava, Mackenzie, Etienne, Jenny, and Valerie, who's the goalie.
One of them is Slava. Slava's the one that's
he's roommates when they're on the road.
Yeah, but he's like the big guy from
He's Russian.
Russian? Is he Russian? I like Mackenzie.
Mackenzie's a sweetie.
I love Mackenzie.
I love the goalie too, Valerie.
Yeah.
He's a good character.
Oh, wait, I forgot I read that other book. Okay, I read 6 books by Tal Bauer.
Oh.
Because there's another one that comes out that came out after this one in the same universe, and it had Bryce in it. And I'm getting the two of them confused.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I love the whole team, and they're just super fucking cute together. And they're very protective of Bunny in particular.
Is very much so.
So they're very concerned about why he's like skating poorly. And I think Hunter starts feeling like he's like worried they're gonna leave him somewhere and just be like, bye.
And then they later find out that they were going to.
Yeah.
So after they were on the road for I think it was like 4 or 5 games, which they lost all of them.
Yeah.
They come back to Montreal and they have a couple days off. I think it's like 2 or 3 days off. And in that time, like because Hunter has approached Bryce a couple times to be like, "Hey, can we talk or whatever?" And Bryce will just not give him the time of day.
Also, Bryce is staying in a hotel because they haven't put him up. That's another part of the reason he feels Hunter is staying in a hotel, which is another part of the reason he feels very expendable because they haven't like made an effort to get him a place. So, and he's not used to the harsh Canadian winters.
Too funny. The way they describe the winter in Montreal, I'm like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I was like,
that's pretty close.
I mean, yeah.
I would say that's a bad winter for us, but yeah.
I mean, here in Nova Scotia, you mean?
We have similar weather.
Anyway, yeah. So Hunter finds himself in the rink while Bryce is skating, and he's like, "Can we just like go somewhere and talk like we did before?" And Bryce agrees.
And they get in Bryce's truck and they drive northern Quebec.
Right.
Oh, it's so cold, and as soon as they're describing it, I'm like, I know exactly how this feels, and nobody wants to be there.
I mean,
northern Quebec is like just cold and snow.
Yeah, okay, fair. But like there's also something super magical about like driving out to a frozen lake and skating around.
It's a big ass lake too.
Yeah. And like losing their pucks and like
so they like drive off the road, like off a trail, off a track, like it's in the middle of nowhere.
And you find out about Bryce's family too during this point, how they were like from a small town in Quebec. I almost said Nova Scotia, small town in Quebec, and how
they're like only French. They don't speak English at all.
Yeah, it's like a mining town. Yeah. And they have their like talk, which was adorable, but also like I feel bad them describing everything as adorable, but like it was just
adorable.
The moment where Hunter was like, I don't think I'm straight, and like
it's just like flip switch,
and it wasn't even like a bi awakening necessarily so much as it was like that
it's a Bryce awakening,
well, a demisexual kind of thing, right? And it's like, well, maybe he is bi, maybe he's not, maybe he's gay, maybe who knows, but like all that matters is that like Bryce is it, and he wants to make it happen, and then they just get super fucking cute.
Yeah, the chemistry is insane.
Adorable.
Insane.
And they start sneaking around. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because then the storm hits.
The storm hits. They get trapped at the DAP. We'll get Jacqueline to read about that later.
Yeah.
They get trapped where?
At the DAP. A Depignon. It's a corner store, basically.
Oh.
What they call them in Quebec.
Yeah, they get snowed in. And it's adorable.
So when they and then they come, so then they come back, and
Yes.
everything's great.
Well, and like that's when Bryce finds out that Hunter's staying at a hotel, and he's like, "No, you'll just
He's
come
like,
stay with me."
no, you can come stay with me in my house
Yeah.
outside of Montreal.
Yeah, it's adorable.
So they move in together. When they come in together the next day, the team is like, "You guys just arrived together," and they're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah,
Because like the team has been waiting and watching to see how this is going to go, because this is it.
yeah.
Like this was literally the morning that if something didn't change, they were just going to boot Hunter out, and Bryce was like going to be in a bad place because
and-
he had already been talked to by the coach, being like, "You got to get
Yeah.
your shit together ASAP."
And then they start sneaking around, thinking they're being all sneaky and quiet. Like it's honestly, it's like
It's adorable.
it's fucking teenagers sneaking around as grown ass hockey men, and like
And they're like in the locker, and like someone's like in the shower, and then someone else is in the bathroom, and they're just like
or
making
against the
out.
door to the fucking room.
When they're on the road.
Yeah.
And they're like, they end up in a hotel. Like they always go to bed last after everybody, the rest of the team.
Because they're discussing or something, and Slava's like, just switch rooms. We'll just switch rooms.
Slava's hilarious.
I'm not doing this anymore. I need sleep. You guys are assholes.
They're making out against Bryce's door.
Yeah.
And he shares a room with Slava.
Yeah.
And like Slava wakes up and opens the door, and Bryce like falls into the room basically, and
Yeah.
he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, go the fuck to sleep. Like, God, it's so noisy. And then they, part ways, whatever goes. And then the next time they
Yeah.
get rooms, Slava just comes over to Hunter and hands him his card and be like, if you want to be awake at all hours of the night, you could do it in your own fucking room with him.
But they don't like call them out on
No,
what they're doing.
not at all.
It's just like,
Do they know?
Oh, here's the thing. In retrospect, yes, they do.
Okay.
but you don't know that they.
But you don't know
as
that they
the
know.
reader, you don't
Yeah.
know that they know at this point. Because
I know because I read it twice.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh my god. But when they do find out,
Oh my God. Okay.
yeah,
The stress is real. Okay. Chapter 18
is that what the chapter was?
made me want to put this book down the second time I was reading it, knowing what the fuck was going to happen.
I know, and it was one of those like the book goes along so smoothly, and Rachel said it was boring.
I remember specifically saying to my partner when I was reading this book, I was like 3/4 of the way through the book, and I'm like, okay, where's the conflict? There's going to be a conflict. Something big is going to happen. No, I've never read this author before, so I don't know what avenue they're going to go down. But I would assume it'd be something like someone gets outed, there's a
It's the-
homophobic thing, a response or something. I was not expecting this.
It's the third act. It's almost like every romance novel you read has that third act shift. Where
Every book, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so
What is it?
Oh fuck, I'm not okay.
Oh my God. Does
What?
Uncle Jake show up?
No.
yes,
The Minnesota Penguins captain
Minnesota
Comes-
Penguins.
comes for Bryce.
Okay, this is really confusing. Where did Minnesota come from?
Minnesota salad.
It's a
that's
hockey
not
state.
Really salad.
Is it? I didn't know that.
That's where the Mighty Ducks is filmed.
Oh, I didn't think the Mighty Ducks were a real team.
There.
They are.
Are they really?
But
Yeah.
the movie came first.
It did.
Oh. Anyway,
I specifically remember that only because my brother grew up playing hockey. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I subsequently had to grow up watching hockey.
this is fair. Yeah.
Okay, so chapter 18. Bryce is they're playing against somebody. I can't remember. It's not even, I think it's Ottawa. It's like a local.
I don't know.
Oh no, they're playing in Montreal. But I think they're playing
They
Ottawa.
are playing in Montreal, and it's like they're close to the, like, they're at the end where they're like playing to find out who's going to be like against in the Stanley Cup, I think.
Something like that. The end of their conference or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah, they're coming to the end of it.
Sportsball.
Like this is
Playoffs, at least.
playoffs. Yeah, where
Okay.
they're playing like the team several times. They're in that place where they're playing the team several times. So they actually having to play this one team like 2 or 3 more times.
Something like that.
Rachel's like, don't make me
I don't
think
like
about it.
sports ball. Listen, when
No.
it came down to keeping track of the sports thing, I'm like, my mind
But
was
but it's important because of what happens and Hunter's reaction to what happens, because Hunter's like doesn't want to leave, but
okay.
then
So we need to talk about this
okay,
first.
yeah, okay, we'll talk about that first.
So what happens is during the game, Bryce takes a puck to the throat,
Ooh.
So
and it's bad.
they line it up, but they set it up really well though,
They
because it's
do.
written from Hunter's perspective. So Hunter is watching Bryce, and they have like this really great chemistry. The team has really great chemistry, so they're setting up this play, and they're like, oh shit, this guy's gonna like take this shot. and there's nobody there to
block the shot,
to interrupt it. So Bryce does the thing where he puts himself in the position where he's between the net and the shot, and he takes the hit. And Hunter's thinking like, oh shit, that really hurts, and because Bryce goes down, but Bryce doesn't get back up. And so people are starting to panic, and they go over. And then when Bryce gets up, he like spits blood out on, and like he can't breathe. So they have to get him off the ice and into the.
They get him into like the back room, like they have a medical area set up out back,
and like he can't breathe. And so it's this like fucking.
It's so intense.
Like
so I had to read it through so quickly because I'm like, I gotta get through this.
This goes back. This goes back to like how well Tal Bauer writes.
The tension is
real.
The
tension and emotion in this, and it's like, because I remember reading it just going along and being like da 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 da, and I was like, oh. Fuck.
And that's exactly my reaction when I was coming to it the second time. I'm like, here we go. Like, here's the fucking chapter.
Yeah.
Like, God, no, not again.
So like they're trying to help Bryce, and Hunter will not leave Bryce's side. So he's like on top of him, and they're like, you need to give us space. You need to give us space. So then like
they force his airway, and they do it, and then they get him out in an ambulance, and he's gone.
Well, and it's this whole thing, and they're like, we need to stay, or something about moving his neck, and they're like, well, if you move his neck, then you could paralyze him. And he's like, well, if we don't move his neck, he could die. So I think he'd rather be paralyzed than dead. And Hunter like won't leave his side, and then they get him out, and then the coach, I think it is, comes in and is like, go. It's Mackenzie. He sends no
because Mackenzie has to stay because he punches the door and almost breaks his hand.
Yes, it's Etienne. Is it Etienne who goes?
Maybe it's Slava.
It's
Slava.
Is it Slava?
Because he speaks Russian to him at some point.
Yes. So they get sent because Hunter's getting really pissed because he's like, nah, he's gone, and he's concerned because he's not fucking breathing.
Yeah, because Slava was like holding him back too to restrain him.
Yeah, so he's like the coach is like, get your stuff off, come on, and he's like, what the fuck? Anyways, he gets his stuff,
and Mackenzie has to stay because he's the assistant captain.
Yeah. So Mackenzie's pissed.
Yeah, he punches the door
because they still have to play, right? Mm-hmm. Jacqueline's like, yeah, okay. Sportsball. I love it's sportsball, but they use a puck. Sports puck.
Don't worry, I was already thinking about that the whole time.
Puck ball. They get to the hospital, and it's like a fucking madhouse, and they're like trying to get information, and like Hunter is fucking devastated. Slava's staying with him, and then all the team ends up showing up, and oh my god, and like Bryce can't talk when he comes out.
Yeah, so he's out of surgery, and then he's in the room. And he's going to be out for like 6 or 8 hours because of the anesthesia.
Yes.
But he is like, and at this point too, the doctor's like, I don't know how his brain function is going to be. We have no idea because he's not awake.
And he does, because he not only wasn't getting air, but was there a concussion component of it too? No? Okay. It was because he
lost his airway for like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, like a good amount of time.
Which is bad.
Yeah. So Hunter's basically just like holding his hand the entire time.
Yeah, so to set the scene, they're in this recovery room. He's got like the pipes and the tubes and the BPs and all that stuff. And Hunter's sitting beside him in a chair holding his hand the whole time. And like Slava or Mackenzie or something is sitting across from him.
All the teammates are around and coming in and out, but there's a seat across from him, and I think it's Mackenzie that's sitting in the seat. And Hunter just looks at him. Also, I just have to say before I say this, Hunter has been teaching himself to speak French. Because I think Hunter's from Texas, isn't he?
He's from Texas.
Yeah. So Hunter's teaching himself to speak French so they can speak sweetly to each other. Anyway, so
that's kind of adorable.
It's the whole super cute. Fucking book is just like wholesome.
It's really wholesome.
As shit.
Yeah.
And so he's like, Bryce is out cold. Hunter's holding his hand, and he looks up, and Mackenzie's staring at him, and he's like, Hunter just goes, yeah, well, we're together. And Mackenzie's like, no shit.
Yeah, we all know.
And basically gives him the rundown, like, we were going to leave you in another country because by another country, I mean the States, not like some random country. We were going to leave you in the country because we thought that you were going to hurt Bunny. And if you hurt Bunny, we will hurt you kind of situation. But they call him Honey because Bunny sets up Bunny.
Hunter gives that sweet honey to Bunny, which he's talking about passing.
No.
They're talking about passing.
That is so lame.
They're talking about like how Hunter passes the puck to Bunny.
He's always setting up the plays.
Jacqueline's like, I have no soul. This is horrible. Sportsball.
No,
puckball.
That's so bad.
So I mean, we're gonna skip ahead. Anyway, so basically,
adorable.
Bryce recovers. He ends up, being fine. They go through Sportsball.
happens.
A lot of it.
Yeah,
they always leave somebody with him.
Yeah,
because
because that was the whole thing. Hunter didn't want to leave him, but he also was aware that Bryce wouldn't want the team to do poorly because he wasn't there. So by removing himself from the situation as well, he left the team at a deficit by not playing himself. So he went, and somebody would stay with him every time. Like they would pick somebody.
Yeah,
and they end up. No, he gets to play the last game.
Okay, so the recovery period for him is like 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah,
and he goes back in and has some other surgeries, but he ends up going home. And oh my god, the team like goes and buys them groceries and sets the home up with all this stuff. It's so sweet. They get them a gift basket filled with like lubes and butt plugs and stuff. That's how supportive they are.
They're so sweet. It's just so fucking adorable.
It's so cute.
It's so adorable.
It's the complete opposite of what you think it's going to be, I think, because like I don't know, hockey is a very male dominated, testosterone driven sport, and so like I think people maybe expect the homophobia, but it's not in this book at all.
I don't know that I was expecting it from the teammates, because Tal Bauer did a really good job of
building like a family.
Building the family.
Yeah.
It was when he like FaceTimed his dad, and his dad was like, "What happened to my boy?" And like they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "His boyfriend." And they're like, "Oh."
But they're so sweet, because they're like,
all of them are sweet.
You're looking after our son. You're taking care of him.
All of them are sweet.
And so like that's all they need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they win. Bryce gets to play.
So they end up in the Stanley Cup Finals against Detroit, who
Sportsball.
apparently is a very
Red Wings. They lost. They beat the Red Wings.
I don't. Sportsball.
Damn it.
Puckball.
So apparently Detroit in this universe, I don't know, but real sports ball, they are very aggressive, and so they specifically do not want Bryce playing this because like his recovery is going really well. He had
Just
this
it's like Boston with Brad Marchand. The little ball of hate.
Is that a sports ball reference?
Brad Marchand is a Jacqueline's dying.
You just killed Jacqueline. What happened?
Brad Marchand is a player for Boston. He's from Hammonds Plains, I think.
So Nova Scotia.
So he's from Nova Scotia. But his nickname was the little ball of hate. Like he's an aggressive player.
Okay. Be aggressive. Be
But
aggressive.
yeah, he's on Boston. He's on Boston, isn't he?
I don't know does he still play? He was.
He was on Boston. Yeah. So it's just funny because you got like Brad Marchand, who's like the little ball of hate, and then you've got Sid the Kid Crosby, who's like everybody loves him. Aside from like people who don't like him, and then I think he's a whiner. But like, I mean, if your team, that's one thing I do know about hockey is that Sidney Crosby's team does not support him as well as they should, because man, oh man, the concussions that this kid has had is unbelievable.
Yeah.
To the point like that, in the amount of injuries, to the point that his face shape actually looks different from when he started, which is wild to me. But anyway. So they play sports ball. They play sports ball.
So they play the sports ball. They get into the Stanley Cup Finals. Bryce's recovery goes really well.
Yes.
He's back to doing practices. They're doing scrimmages and stuff like that.
But he's wearing like the neck puck. He wears the throat thing so that he doesn't get hit in the throat.
He wears a neck guard.
Yes.
So that he doesn't.
That thing.
A neck puck.
Oh my god.
I don't know why it's a neck puck. It stops the puck from hitting your neck.
Neck guard.
Neck guard.
He wears a neck guard.
Neck
so that, he doesn't get injured again or whatever. And he does this religiously until the end of
Does
time.
he wear a dick puck too, Ash?
Yeah, probably. So, funny thing about that is in the second book.
About dick pucks?
Yeah, no, not dick pucks,
Go
neck
on.
pucks. In the second book, the other book, the rest of the story, I can't remember what it's called, the rest of the story, I think, the team ends up playing against the Etoile, and Bryce is there again, and he goes up to like one of the main characters, and he's wearing his like neck guard, and they like have a moment where they like talk and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, Bryce,
Baby.
buddy, so cute."
Buddy.
But they win.
Okay.
They win the sports ball.
So obviously they have to build the tension, and like Detroit just wipes the floor with them physically, but
Yeah.
not actually, because they come down to Game 7 sports ball, and
About the answer to everything is sports ball.
I don't know, hockey Game 7. That's a thing.
We're gonna have to rate this book on sports balls.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Rachel having to edit this and going like, we have to take out that sports ball and that
think-
sports ball.
We need like a tally of how many
Sports
times.
ball.
Do you want me to do a sports ball tally?
Yes,
Yeah, sure.
please.
Okay, I'll keep track of that.
Maybe I'll listen to this episode and I'll play a drinking game.
I would appreciate if you listened to it. Actually, it'd be great.
Anyway, so game 7.
Oh, so game 7, they're getting wiped, and then they're like, okay, well, Bryce is like, put me in, and they're like, okay, we're putting Bryce in.
Yeah,
And so he like scores, or he sets up the winning goal for the Stanley Cup final. And so throughout this entire thing,
Wait, you mean Honey didn't feed his bunny and they...
no, I think actually,
I think Bunny fed Honey.
yeah, I want to say the Hunter got the final goal, and he was
think
set up by
so.
Bryce or something.
Yeah.
because he
It
like
was
one
like
timed it or whatever, something. Sports ball.
Assist. Brunter.
That's their ship name.
Ashton just like looked up a list of words associated with sports and started
Hi-
yelling them. Assist!
No.
Traveling!
Blue line, double dribble, crease.
Neck puck! Not sure where she found that one.
No. Hunter. Bryce assisted Hunter by like shooting the puck to him. Isn't that an assist?
Yeah,
So I didn't make it up.
I know you didn't make it up.
it was just the way you said it.
Oh, okay.
Just like
it's a real thing.
you were just so excited you knew the word.
So they win the sports ball tournament.
So they win the sports ball, and throughout the entire time, they were like gunning towards the Stanley Cup Finals. Bryce was promising, Hunter promised Bryce another date after they won the cup, which was like kind of a faux pas. You're not supposed to like jinx it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so a big part of winning the Stanley Cup is the hoisting the cup, I guess, sports ball. And so Bryce, who's the captain, is supposed to be the first one to hoist the Stanley Cup doodad. And
the Stanley Cup. It's a doodad. It's really big.
it's a big boy Stanley Cup thing.
It's a big boy. What a big boy.
He's a big
Stanley
boy.
Cup.
He's a hefty bug. Hefty puck.
So he brings the cup back to the rest of the team, and they all hoist it together. It's a big thing. And then on live television, because it's being broadcast,
Yeah.
Bryce and Hunter just like kiss.
And it's adorable.
It's adorable. So they just out themselves to everybody.
Yeah. And it's adorable.
And cool.
Don Cherry loses his mind.
Don Cherry doesn't exist in these
I
universe.
wish. Oh my god, could you imagine?
Sports ball.
Sports ball. What I loved about it though is like, because like the team that wins, every player gets like 24 hours with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I think when Boston won, there was like a fucking parade.
Yeah,
down
there's
in
a parade in
Halifax.
Halifax.
Yeah.
And Dartmouth, for that matter, because that's where he's from.
Marchand. Or
when Crosby won the cup.
I don't know. I think who knows who won. Doesn't
Sports
matter.
ball.
Sports ball. So when they get their time with the Stanley Cup, they go back to the fucking
Dep. With Guy.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are so sweet. Oh,
Because
adorable."
Guy, I didn't mention this at the time, but because we don't want to spoil what goes on in the dep. But Guy is this like sweet man who runs this dep in the middle of nowhere by himself. He's like lost his wife previously or something like that.
Yeah.
And he recognizes Bryce as the captain of the Étoile, and he's like he calls him Mon Capitaine, obviously. And like LA Montreal, of course.
Go Montreal.
And it's adorable.
Oh, I also love
and he
that
won't let them pay for anything.
I also love that the whole like it's like their song is like ole 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 ole.
Sports ball.
That one too.
Sports ball.
Please help.
Sports ball.
Send help. This is what happens when you make 3/2 because Jacqueline didn't read it. Females who don't like hockey
Sports
talk
ball.
about hockey.
So they
Ashton apparently plays Mario hockey.
They take the
take the cup, back to the dep.
to Guy, and then they take it up to
His parents.
and then they take it down because they're together, so they're 24 hours go back to back. So then they take it down to
Texas to meet his parents.
And then they're all adorbs.
It's super sweet. And that's pretty much the summation of the book.
Does one of them propose to the other one?
Yes.
Aw, too soon.
That is
It's in the epilogue.
That is one thing I will say. In a lot of Tal Bauer's books, there's the proposal,
A super happy
proposal, some kind. And I at first I was like, why every book? And then I got it. Like, yeah,
He's writing the love story.
give the happy ending.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about all the stuff that's going on or that has gone on with the LGBTQ
Yeah, I mean,
community.
to that point too. I was researching this because, as one does,
No, as Rachel does.
the first openly gay NHL player in real life came out in 2021. So like a year before this book was written, for that matter, or like published, I should say. It's Luke Prokop from Edmonton in Canada, in Alberta. He plays for
Yay.
Seattle currently. And
Seahawks? No, wait, that's football.
Seattle Sportsball. Anyway, but Canada has a large amount of LGBTQIA professional athletes. There's there's a huge page dedicated to Wikipedia, obviously.
Way to go, Canada.
Yeah, but like a lot of like Olympians and stuff like that, like we have huge representation here because we're allowed to, is something to point out.
Yes.
It's like our country celebrates people of diversity. We don't. We try not to.
We try to celebrate diversity.
We do. We try really hard.
Our issues are more sneaky issues than they are actual issues.
Yes, and like we have very solid trans rights in this country right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jack, I'm gonna get you to read something for me, please. There's a lot of French in this, so
do your best.
Please forgive us for any pronunciations. We grew up with French in 8th grade, and that was
Kitty
about it.
Hawk is a town in North Carolina.
Thanks for that.
And to be fair, when we spoke French in school, it was more franglais than it was actual French.
It's definitely franglais, and
Yeah.
like I've spent time in Montreal, not that much time though, so I haven't like acclimatized to the French yet. So give it a whirl.
I got kicked out of French class for making a crow noise, so I didn't learn a whole lot. You asked what it all means, he says. I didn't know then, but I think I do now. I think we were meant to find each other, and I think we were meant to do this all together. Everything. Play this game. Live our lives. Be us. That's what I want, Bryce. I want you. I want to be with you, on the ice and off. I've held you after a goal, but now I want to hold you like this, and more. His cheeks are rose red and his pupils are blown wide, like he's staring at something, someone he desires. But he's looking at me. Impossible. This is impossible. I grasp his wrists and squeeze, feel his pulse pound beneath my fingers. Still to play. Please, please, mon chéri. I'm babbling, and I don't know what I'm asking for. Please let this be true. Please be certain. Please don't hurt me. Please, please. Kiss me again, Hunter whispers. Please, kiss me, Bryce. Do dreams come true? My hands move from his wrists to cheeks, and I mirror the way he's holding me. Hands cupping his face, thumbs brushing over his skin. His lips part, and the bottom trembles as he exhales. His pulse leaps at his throat below his jaw. I did that. Me, my touch. My thumb drops and traces his lower lip. He kisses the pad, feather light. I close the distance between us. My eyes never leave his. A breath away, I feel him whisper, Bryce. And then my lips are on his and we are kissing. This time Hunter's lips part beneath mine and his hands slide into my hair. He pulls me into him like he needs this kiss to keep him alive. We move from sweet to fevered in a moment. Need slams into me and I have to touch him, have to feel him. My hands move over him, down, slipping beneath his shirt. My fingers play over his belly, over his hips, and the waistband of his pants. He groans and hauls me even tighter into his arms. Then he's moving, walking me backward, taking us to the nest of sleeping bags we made. We can't stop kissing, not even to shed our hoodies. My lips move over cotton as I tear mine over my head. A second later, he flings his away, and we come back together and collapse onto the air mattress. Dust billows and the plastic squeals. We've probably blown the duct tape right off the American's shitty patch job. Hunter pushes me back and slides his legs between mine as he rests on top of me. Mon Dieu, this is what I have dreamed of. A man in my arms, a man above me, his weight against me. No, not just any man. Hunter. I have dreamed of Hunter. I want him to kiss me forever, but his lips leave mine and then return on my jaw and neck. He trails kisses down to my collarbone and his hands slide beneath my shirt and run up my ribs until he peels the fabric over my head. Another kiss to my lips, and then to the center of my chest. These are slow, gentle, and careful. He rests his cheek over my heart and closes his eyes. Je t'adore, he whispers. Tu parles français? I'm learning. A kiss to my shoulder. I want to speak French with you. Another kiss. I want to do everything with you. He is going to ruin me. I hook my leg around his hips and tug him to me, then work his shirt over his head. Dark hair covers his chest, spreading from pec to pec. I sit up to bury my face in it. This is my first time doing what I've dreamed of being skin to skin, lips to skin with another man. I bite down on the curve of his muscle and then slide my tongue across his nipple. He holds me to him and then tears me away with a curse. He's on me again, kissing me, covering me. I capture his moan inside me and hold it in my heart. I'm so hard I'm dizzy, harder than I've ever been in my life, and I'm grinding against Hunter like a cat in heat. He's hard too, and he thrusts against my thigh as our kisses burn out of control. His hands are everywhere, all over my body, traveling across my chest and down to my jeans, and then back up to cradle my cheek. I can't get enough of him, and we make out like this, shirtless, kissing and thrusting, until I feel like I'm about to faint. He slides his hand down the front of my jeans and cups his hand around my aching cock. Our kiss breaks. We stare into each other's eyes. No man has ever touched me like this. Is this okay? He breathes. His lips are swollen, his cheek red and stubble scratched. That is something my dreams didn't prepare me for. Beard burn on his cheeks from me. I had no idea at all how it would feel to see him wearing my desire. Mais oui, mon Dieu, oui, oui. I drag him against me again. Don't stop. But maybe we're scared to take things further. I've never done this with a man, and he hasn't either. We make out for a while longer before his hand drops to my fly again. I'm panting, gasping, moaning, holding his gaze, biting my lip. He pops the button on my jeans, then slowly slides my zipper down. My hands shake, too much for elegance, and I'm far from smooth as I undo his fly. We slither out of our pants and leggings and kick them away. He's naked. I'm naked. Firelight strokes his muscles. He's strong and so much bigger than me. I trail my fingers down his furred chest, down his stomach, around his hips, run them up his spine and sink them into his long hair as I cradle his head. You're beautiful. His voice is an octave deeper than before. The sound burrows into my bones. I want to arch into him, purr and close my eyes and let him carry me away. I have never felt beautiful until he said the words. I've dreamed of this, I confess, so many times. He pushes his forehead against mine. So have I. Hunter lowers himself into my arms until we're touching, from our lips to our toes. His cock is rock hard against mine, hot and heavy and solid. I buck against him and dig my hands into his scalp. My head tips back. I whimper nonsense and curses in his name. He kisses my throat before he bites down on my collarbone. Then he starts to move. This is happening. Tabernacle, it's happening. Hunter is making love to me. My legs wrap around his, my heels digging into the backs of his thighs. He's everything I see and everything I feel. He's pushing me into this shitty air mattress, into these sleeping bags, and I want more. Our cocks glide against each other, our bodies finding a rhythm and seizing it. We breathe each other's breath into our lungs. One of his hands grasps my thigh and pulls me to him, as if he's trying to bring us closer. I want to do everything with Hunter, and I want it all tonight, right now. But we are flying, and La Petite Mort is rushing for me, too fast and sharp to stop. White lightning is racing up my spine. My nerves are blazing, and I'm on fire from the inside. I can't stop kissing him. I keen and bite down on Hunter's bottom lip. I try to thrust against him harder, faster, more. My fingers drag from his hair to his neck to his shoulders. I can't breathe. I can't think. The world is whiting out like we're back in that snowbank, like there is nothing that exists beyond him and me. It's like glare ice under a winter sun, like looking into the center of the arena lights, like finding a newborn star. Hunter, my heart. It's every game I've played. It's every goal I've scored and assisted on. Every win I've shared with my team. It's skating across the ice and saying bonjour to Hunter and seeing him smile at me for the first time. It's my dreams coming true. I die the first of what I hope will be 1,000 deaths in his arms, and he follows me over the edge, burying his face in my neck as we shatter. We hold each other tight, breathing hard like we can't let go of these seconds. The spell is broken by a log crackling in the fire, tossing sparks into the darkness. He drops kisses to my neck and my shoulder, and then trails his lips on a path to my heart before laying his chest against my chest. My heart is beating for him. Reality returns in fractions. The chill of the dépanneur, the warmth of the fire, the vivid colors of poppies and clementines dancing over his skin. I trace my fingertips along the curves of his muscles and the divots of his spine. He kisses the skin above my heart again, and then settles beside me. We lie on our sides facing each other. He takes my hand in his and threads our fingers together, then kisses each of my knuckles. Was that okay? He murmurs. Très bon. I almost laugh. It was the best of my life, so far, I hope. We'll do this again, we? Was it okay for you? He nods and presses his cheek against the back of my hand. I'm glad we got away today and talked, he smiles. This was a very productive talk. I pull him to me until our noses are practically touching, then tuck a rogue strand of hair behind his ear and hitch my leg over his thigh. Let's talk again, every day. Okay, morning and night. 2-a-days, Like hockey practice? He nods. I have to get good for you. You are already fantastique.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I don't like the French. I never like when people
speak another language.
Well, no, like it's fine to speak another language, but to just like throw in like random words. I can just imagine like using the accent too. Like you're like, oh, I just went down to the grocery store, but then I bought some salsa, or just, it bugs me.
I will say, I recognize that, Bauer's trying to hype up the French in this because he's French Canadian.
It's adorable.
Yeah. There's a lot of French in this book. At the end of every chapter, there's like footnote or endnotes, I guess, explaining what some of the translating what some of the French is. Which
That's
is
how
helpful.
I did my translations.
Yes, thank you for that.
And when you press the finger over it when you're reading it on Kindle Unlimited, it just like
it translates it on the fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess let's rate this book. We're gonna rate it obviously out of sports balls.
Sports balls?
So
not puck balls.
How many sports balls? Like maybe
7.
7 sports balls?
I don't know. Is that how?
Yeah,
many?
there's 7 games, so might as well 7 sports balls.
I don't know.
That's
sure.
That's a thing.
There's 5 lines on a hockey team. Rachel's just like, I don't know what to do with that.
Sports ball. Okay, so let's rate it out of 7 sports balls. Okay, so I'm going to rate this 5 sports balls out of 7 sports balls.
Wow.
It's
adorable.
It's well written. It's adorable. It's very emotionally charged. I don't care for hockey. So this was like, kind of lame.
And it had nothing to do with anything other than the fact that there was hockey in it.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you made this a different kind of sports ball, I would feel the same way about it. I'm not into sports at all, really.
Yeah.
So, except rugby.
I've been reading a lot of sports romance lately,
Yeah.
which is really weird because
Is there any one particular reason? Like, do you think there's a connection there?
I will tell you, after I read Blueprint by S.E. Harmon, there was like this moment where I was like, okay, but, and admittedly, I'm reading a lot of like
romance.
Yeah, a lot of like queer romance. There was just something about the really big football dude taking it from the like skinny, geeky, like guy who's usually the bottom, but like he's given, like, I don't know.
It's a dynamic.
It's a dynamic, but I have read several straight, I don't know, sports romance too, and I don't know. It could be too because it's like when I read
Is it like taboo?
No, it's not because it's a taboo. I think it's because when I read to dissociate. So if it's something I don't know a lot about, I'm not hypercritical about it, right? Yeah. Like if I was reading about a massage therapist, I'd be like, why you do that? That's wrong. That's wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fair.
You get too critical about it. It's kind of like when
I just black out when I read Sportsball. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, like when nurses can't watch like Grey's Anatomy.
Oh my
or something
god, my
like
mother
that, right?
cannot watch
exactly
like, ER, all that stuff. It's
exactly.
very funny.
So I think it's because I don't know a lot about it that I don't have to invest a lot in it because I don't tend to care. Plus, I think it's really funny when I get clients on my table who are like super into sports and I'm like, yeah, I'm basically a sports expert now because I've been reading sports romance. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then I start talking about it. They're like, you're fucked.
Accurate.
Or they just let me go and I'm getting things wrong. And they're like, you'll get to it eventually. Like I've got one client in particular. He's like, yep.
Just
I
yell
love that.
assist to him.
I told him that I was convinced that all teams had a handful of players that were just fucking each other.
Fair.
Just because they're not out publicly does not mean that they're not doing one another.
And I mean, like I said, my research of this, like there's one out NHL player in the entire league. One.
Yeah, and it's...
You know that that's not accurate to the actual amount of like gay players there would be.
It's heartbreaking. It's what it is.
It is.
Like, but anyway.
We're still not there.
Yeah.
Yes, so far from there.
Yeah, like there is like over there and then we are like over there and I'm pointing in two different directions because you guys can't see me, but Rachel and Jacqueline know what I'm doing.
I know what you're saying.
I'm like an airplane.
So based on your airplane knowledge now, how many sports balls would you rate this?
7.
Yeah.
Whoa.
This is like
It's your jam.
I loved everything about this fucking book. Like it had the emotion that I wanted. It had like enough of the sport that I didn't feel like it like, okay, you're just like mentioning the sport because you want to say that it's a sports romance. There was literally the sport in it. I am admittedly a whore for By Awakening. I loved the characters. I loved the family dynamic of the team. I loved the French because I thought that was really fucking cute.
Oh my god, the look she just gave me, y'all.
That was a look. You heard the tone. There was a look with that tone.
Yeah, there was.
The French.
I got a sunburn.
No, yeah, solid 7. I fucking love this book. And I mean, I really, really enjoy Tal Bauer's. Like, admittedly, it is the type of book I find his writing to be like, when you are okay with feeling like I'm not going to pick it up if I'm like, I want something really fluffy. Like this was fluffy, but it also made me feel, and I know like if I'm going to I feel at this point in the game, if I'm going to pick up one of his books, I'm in for some kind of emotional journey. The depth of it could be different depending on, because the other book he wrote, the other football, he did write football books. He wrote The Jock and The Quarterback, and those are really good. But the other hockey book he wrote, there was some like trauma stuff that was pretty heavy, but like it was just really cute. And I just
yeah, that's fair. So,
I love the cute.
So Jack, you like sports balls.
I do like sports balls.
How much do you like sports balls about this one?
I'm not like a huge hockey fan, which is why I was quite upset when Ashton chose this book.
Oh, actually, in fairness,
over
let's not. We're not going to throw Ashton under a bus here. Rachel chose this book.
Ashton gave Rachel an outline of both books and let Rachel pick the book.
So, and I can say with confidence, I picked this book based on the Canadian connection.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize to Ashton and screw you, Rachel.
Fair.
No, I think we should do. I think you should read Blueprint, and I think we should do Blueprint. Because it has the football.
Listen, I'm already booking shit for season 2, bitches.
Yeah.
We need a sports ball for season 2.
Yeah.
We can do more than one sports ball.
Sure can.
But it's spicier than like Blueprint is spicier than this.
Good. It's on my list. So Jack, sports ball.
Sports ball.
How many sports balls? How many balls, Jack?
I don't like to use the term sports ball just because
Puck
I
ball?
actually enjoy sports.
Yeah, I use sports ball as a placeholder, as you can tell, for anything sports related that I don't understand.
How many balls do you rate it, Jack?
Balls. So I feel like this seems kind of fun. I am a huge sucker for sports movies, which makes me a bit more interested in this one rather than some of the other books.
And they're all human.
I do appreciate that they're all human, and I like the adorableness. So I feel like I could like see myself reading it. Even the excerpt that I had to read wasn't awful.
It's pretty tame, honestly. Yeah.
Pretty tame. They didn't use a lot of like
There's not a lot of saucy
weird-
language. Yeah.
not even saucy, but just like weird things that they said.
It was just frottage, wasn't it?
And just like reading the French is fine. I just don't like to read it aloud, and I don't like to hear when people do it like that. But that's just a me thing. So I feel like I would probably give it maybe. I might give it 4.
You can't have half a sports ball, remember?
4 sports balls.
Are
And
some of them-
maybe a neck ball.
Neck puck?
Neck
puck-
puck ball neck.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I do have to deduct something for them nicknaming Hunter Honey, because that is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire
Savage.
life.
Savage.
What about if we let some of the air out of the sports balls, like Tom Brady?
Deflate gate. Yes.
Okay.
Deflate gate.
So four sports balls and a slightly deflated one?
4 deflated sports balls and a neck puck.
Perfect. Okay.
a neck puck.
Thank you for that thorough assessment, Jacqueline, as usual. I appreciate
Thank you. You're welcome.
it. So that brings us to the end of this sports ball episode. Next,
Ole, 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 ole.
next time on the Queens of Spice podcast, we are talking about a book from the Chuck Tingleverse. It's called Trans Wizard Harriet Porber and the Bad Boy Paracelophilus. And I'm excited.
What?
Yeah, you don't even know.
I'm
you
so
have,
excited.
Is that a dinosaur?
It is a dinosaur.
Yes.
So I believe you can download that. You have to pay for it on Kindle, or you could buy the book off Amazon if you want to catch up with that. And we'll see y'all next time on the Queen's
The
Spice
look on
podcast.
Jacqueline's face right now.
We're gonna
is-
learn all about it, Jack. Don't worry about it.
Don't ruin dinosaurs for me.
Oh, it's gonna be ruined.
Oh, I will.
And fucking motorcycles and mammoths.
Shh,
and-
don't spoilers. Jeez. Okay. Thanks for joining me, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Peace out. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Queens of Spice podcast. You'll find us on Instagram and Twitter at Queens of Spice. Or if you want to send us an email, you can reach us at queensofspice@gmail.com.